Daphne Reckert and Figueira did what most of us only fantasize about. They gave up comfort, they gave up careers, and they left America to save a 500-year-old French castle from falling into dust. No plan B, no glamorous crew, just the two of them, and a family legacy that was literally crumbling. What started as a childhood dream turned into one of HGTV's most breathtaking and emotionally raw series to date, Castle Impossible. But what you see on screen, that's only half the story. Because behind the scenes, this couple faced broken walls, financial risks, ghost stories, and maybe even buried treasure. So, how did two ordinary Californians end up living inside a forgotten chateau, rebuilding it by hand, and turning it into one of France's most in-demand wedding venues? This is the real story of Daphne and Ian, and why their dream was anything but impossible. Daphne didn't discover the Chateau de la Salle through an internet listing or a travel brochure. This French chateau had been in her life since childhood. It belonged to her grandfather, a dreamer himself, who purchased the estate in 1981, a sprawling, overgrown 133-acre property outside Paris. He poured years of passion and work into it. But he always had a plan: to pass it down. From the time she was a teenager, Daphne knew one day this castle would be hers. But inheriting a crumbling piece of European history, that's not a dream most people are ready for. She was born and raised in California, graduated from UC Berkeley. She had her own life, her own path, her own career. Still, something about the chateau never left her. Meanwhile, Ian, her high school sweetheart, had taken a different route: the US Air Force, engineering, a life rooted in structure and discipline. They drifted apart after high school. Life happened, years passed. Then, in 2015, fate stepped in. They reconnected, this time, permanently. By 2020, Daphne's grandfather passed away. The dream was no longer a story in her head. It was real, and waiting. So what did they do? They dropped everything, left California, got married on New Year's Eve, in the middle of a global pandemic, and just months later, they moved to France. Not to vacation, but to work, to save, to restore. What they inherited wasn't a turnkey fantasy, it was falling apart, leaking ceilings, rotting timbers, infestations, Moldavian foundation issues. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was a financial and emotional minefield. But they didn't run. They picked up tools, they launched a YouTube channel. They started documenting every gritty, exhausting, beautiful step of their renovation journey, room by room, stone by stone, and people started watching. First, a small trickle of curious viewers, then thousands. Eventually, HGTV took notice, and that's how Castle Impossible was born. But don't get it twisted. This isn't your average home makeover show. Yes, there are transformations. Yes, there are dramatic reveals. But at its core, this is a love story, not just between two people, but between a family and its history, between dreams and deadlines, between heritage and hope. It's a story of resilience, grit, and serious strategy. Because Daphne and Ian aren't just restoring a castle, they're turning it into a business. They launched Magnus Events SAS, a French company focused on hosting luxury weddings and events at the chateau. And it's not just a side hustle. They now host up to 80 weddings a year, making it one of the most in-demand venues in the region. But unlike most operations of this scale, they didn't hire an army of staff. They do the bulk of it themselves. Daphne handles design, gardening, hands-on restoration. Ian takes care of plumbing, carpentry, infrastructure, and all the things that keep a 16th century structure running in 2025. There are no shortcuts here, no production crew fixing problems behind the scenes, no trust fund safety net. It's just them, living inside history and rebuilding it from the ground up. And if all that wasn't cinematic enough, there's a twist. Legend has it, there might be treasure buried on the estate. No, seriously. Treasure hunters once approached Daphne's grandfather, claiming to have reason to believe something valuable was hidden on the grounds. Have they found it? Not yet. But in a place filled with secret staircases, hidden doors, and centuries-old records, who's to say what lies beneath? Here's what makes their story resonate. It's not just about real estate. It's not about making a profit or going viral. It's about preserving something real, protecting something old, and proving that sometimes the best life you can build is the one everyone else is afraid to start. They didn't wait until they had it all figured out. They didn't wait for permission, or certainty, or a safety net. They just went. And now, their YouTube channel continues to grow. HGTV's Castle Impossible is gaining international attention, and the chateau that was once crumbling is alive again, full of weddings, laughter, love, and two Americans who had no idea what they were getting into, and did it anyway. So the next time you scroll past Castle Impossible on your TV or YouTube feed, remember, behind those sweeping drone shots and shiny chandeliers is a couple who traded comfort for chaos. Not for fame, not for fortune, but for legacy. Because some dreams, they're worth chasing. Even if the walls are cracked, the ceilings leak, and no one believes it's possible. Especially then. That's the kind of dream that builds a life.